Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm the Membership and Business Officer for Bowl Scotland, so I do a lot of the behind the scenes work with our Just Go system. This series of videos is aimed to help our club admins navigate the system. Today we're going to do a walkthrough for our annual affiliation and competition entries. The process for affiliating is quite similar regardless if you're re-affiliating as a club, an association or an affiliate. The first thing you need to do is log in as the club admin. We have a separate video on how to access the system as a club admin, so if you're unsure, start there. The username will always be the club's name with a capital letter at the beginning of each new word and then BC. Any punctuation in the club name, like full stops or apostrophes, will also be replicated. Once we're logged in, we're going to go up to the menu in the top left-hand corner and down to this blue tile called Club Affiliation. This brings us through to the affiliation form. If you affiliated in 2022, the form will already be pre-populated with the information from that year. If you're affiliating as a club, it will say club membership. If it's an association or an affiliate, it will say association or affiliate. If we scroll down, we can see the affiliation form. As I mentioned, this is already pre-populated with last year's information. If nothing has changed, I don't need to do anything. If I need to update any of the information, such as main contact, I can click on the little bin icon here to remove Agatha Christie as my main contact, and then click on the plus sign to add somebody new. This list here is a list of all the members that I have attached to my club, and I have to select their profile. So if you're trying to add a committee member into a role, they need to have a profile. We have a separate video on how to set up profiles as a club admin, so again I would start there first and make sure you have that all organised before moving on to the affiliation form. Select whoever we want to be in that committee role. Once we click them, the little tick icon will go green and we can go up and click done. Any sections that have an asterisk are mandatory fields. I mean, we must have an answer to them. For this one, we've got a drop box with either yes or no. And if we go down again, we've got our key contact information for our committees. And just like before, we can edit, delete, or add as necessary. This published club contact section is new for 2023. As a sort of way of replacing the yearbook, we're looking to get contacts for clubs that we can publish on our website. It is a mandatory field, but if your club or association does not want to provide this information, just type something in the box and that will let you proceed. As we are looking to publish this information, please make sure that it's up to date and accurate and that you have the permission of whoever's information it is. This section is also new for 2023. We're asking for some more information about our clubs and making sure that our clubs and our associations are following our articles of association. Again, there's a drop down to select the options, and as this is a mandatory field, it must be filled in. There is the option to add a credential, but this is not a mandatory field. So if you don't have your constitution or your insurance to hand, don't worry about trying to upload that. It is, however, a required field if you're doing Bowls Mark for the bronze, silver and gold certificates. So if you're looking to do that, it might be worthwhile trying to add those credentials now. Again, public liability insurance is also a mandatory field with a drop down to click the options, and again the option to add a credential if required. We're still asking about club anniversaries for this year, so if you could tell us the year the club was established. As this is a mandatory field, we do need something filled in, but if you don't know the club year or you're not sure, you can just write that and we'll make a note of that as well. Finally, at the bottom, this is where we collect the membership information. We're asking if the club has junior members, and again, this is a drop down with yes or no. And it's a short numerical form to fill in the different club members. We have it split between adult members male, adult members female, junior members male and junior members female. The membership numbers we are asking you to pay for in 2023 is the number of members you had on record as of the 30th of September 2022. So we're not asking you to pay for the amount of members you think you will have playing in 2023, but the amount of members that you had playing in the summer of 2022. If we've missed any of the mandatory fields, an error message will pop up and will tell us what we've missed out, so we can go back and make any changes if needed. This will take us directly to our cart. If we scroll down, we can see we've got our affiliation. We've got 70 male members, 70 female members, 5 junior male members, and 5 junior female members. Membership is priced at £5 per person, so that brings my total to £700. If your club or association is only affiliating and not entering any competitions, this is where you would stop and you would either request an invoice, pay by bank, or pay by card. I'm going to come back and explain those in a little bit more detail later, but now we're going to go and look at some competition entries. If you're looking to enter any competitions, from here you would go up to events and courses. Our competitions will be under this featured events header. You can scroll through it by arrows to the left and right, find the competition that you're looking for. Alternatively, if you scroll down to the categories and into competitions, there's different sections that you can find them from. For the purposes of this, I'm just going to look at national championship entries, but if you're an association, you would be looking more at the Andrew Hamilton or the ladies top 10, both of which are a very similar process. They've just got an additional entry form attached to that. So for adding entries to the national championships, I would go through it and I would click onto my event. Now, regardless of what I'm booking, I'm always going to be using this book as an individual button. It might seem strange because you are logged in as the club, entering competitions on behalf of the club, but if you click club booking, it's going to come up with a list of members and ask you to pick specifically who will be playing in that event, and that's not something we're interested in for competitions at this stage. Club booking is more if you're booking a club member on a coaching course, for instance, and we need to know exactly who we're expected to attend. But for all competition purposes, we're going book as an individual. And then we've got all the different events under the national championships. The ladies and gents singles and pairs are limited to 2 entries per club, so you will be restricted to how many you can put in. Same for the gents and ladies triples and fours, you're only allowed 1 entry, and that is all you'll be able to add. But for something like the over 55s, you're got an unlimited entry, so you can select as many entries as you want, and similarly for the mixed pairs. Once I've checked, if I click this yellow button here for add to cart, and then I've got the option to either proceed to cart and check out, or click no and continue adding competition entries. Like I said, I've just used the national championships as an example here, but we also have tournament licenses available. We've got youth competitions, we've got para competitions, there's other open competitions, as well as competitions more geared towards associations like the Andrew Hamilton that will only be visible to association profiles. So once we're happy that we've completed the affiliation form and done any necessary competition entries, I've gone proceed to cart. If we're on a different page, we click the shopping cart icon and it will take us to the cart as well. If we scroll down, we can check the contents of our cart. So there's the affiliation form that we added earlier. Competition entries will also be there as well. It's really important to check our cart now and make sure that the number of entries is correct. Once you check out, this is not something that you can edit, so take time to ensure it's correct. Something to bear in mind is that anything added to the cart will remain in the cart even if you log out. So if you've added competition entries to your cart previously, they might still be there when you return, so double check. As I mentioned before, events like the ladies singles will have a restricted number of entries, so that will not increase beyond the limit of 2. But any competitions that have unlimited entries like the over 55s will double and will let you add them again, so make sure you've got the correct number of entries. If we need to change anything, we can click the remove button and it'll take it away from our cart. Or if we're going to update any of our entries, perhaps we only need 2 entries here. We can change it to the 2, scroll down to this update button, and then we can see our total has changed and our number of entries in the gents over 55 singles has gone down to 2. So I'm happy that I've got all my entries and I've got my affiliation form. So I'm going to go back up and there's 3 different ways that I can check out. Request invoice signals to us that you're going to be paying outside of the system, either by cheque or bank transfer. You need to select the organisation and it will be a short list, it will only be your club. And and then make sure that this email address is correct. It will pull through automatically from the email address in the club profile. So even if I try and overtype this box here, it will not update and it will still refer to the email address in the club profile. If you don't have an email address in the club profile, an X will appear. To update the email address that shows here, you need to change that in the club profile, and we have a separate video on how to update that. Remember, if you go away from this page and return, everything will still stay in your cart, so you don't need to add everything again. So once we've got a correct email address where the invoice will be sent to, we can scroll down, make sure the club's address is complete, and then click that Request Invoice button. I'm going to show the other forms of payment, so I'm not going to go through with that, but that's how you would pay if you were going to be sending us a cheque. The other options to pay are Pay by Bank, where you can set up a bank mandate in the system. If you use this in 2022, you might already have one there. So you can either select from one that's already established, or if you need to set up a new one or don't have one there. If you go down to the bottom, you'll have the option to set up a new bank mandate, and then click Pay Now, and you can set up the mandate. Again, this email address is pulling through from the club profile, so it needs to be updated there, and the mandatory fields are for the bank information. It will say confirm a direct debit, but we are not taking this as a monthly payment. It will be a one-off payment for however much your total affiliation cost is. Finally, the last option is to pay by card, where again the email address pulls through from the club profile and needs to be edited there. Otherwise, you can fill in the card information, the name on the card, and then pay as normal. Regardless of how you pay, a receipt invoice will be sent to the email address in the club profile. If you're paying by cheque, we would ask that you either print off that invoice and include it with your cheque, or write the invoice number on the cheque when you send it in. When your payment has been made successfully, this is the screen that you'll come through to. You'll have a reference number, and a confirmation email will be sent to the email address in the club profile. If you have any issues with payment, an error message will be displayed explaining what the problem has been, and if you have any issues resolving that, you can contact info@bowscotland.com. If you have any issues during the affiliation process or notice any issues with your invoice receipt after you've checked out, please contact info@bowscotland.com with as much information as possible and we'll help you out.